Ladies and gentlemen, live from the West Coast, it's time for Ring Talk Live Worldwide. Your inside look into combat sports. Ring Talk Live Worldwide is brought to you by the World Boxing Council, the WBC. And now, the host of the longest-running fight show in radio and internet history.
I am not these bubblegum dudes you talking to.
Pedro Fernandez.
He will be mine in round 9. And if he makes me sore, I'll cut it to 4.
Damas y caballeros, bienvenidos, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you from the Sports Byline Studios of the City by the Bay, live on Sports Byline, iHeartRadio, Sirius XM Satellite Radio, the American Forces Network, Vive TV, the WBC Facebook page, and 1,000 other internet platforms. Bottom line is, this is Ring Talk Live Worldwide. Often imitated, but hardly duplicated. Get this, come September 2024, I've been knocking out bums now for 40 years. Who am I? My name is Pedro Fernandez. I am ever so modest host. When I say modest, think caps. I'm a 4-time Golden Glove champion, nationally ranked, and I'm an award-winning boxing writer. So I bring a unique combination of the answers. But guess what? You're the boxing fan. You're buying the pay-per-view now. And of course, Gervonta Davis. And, well, you know, the young man he's taken on, a lot of people don't have a whole lot of faith in him. But the bottom line is, we'll talk about Gervonta Davis and basically David Benavidez headlining this double card tonight, coming to you from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Of course, it'll be on Amazon pay-per-view. We'll talk about that in depth, of course, with Boxing's PhD, Socrates Palmer after the break. But bottom line is, you are tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. As I said, 40 years, you're inside looking at the world of boxing and MMA. Now, everybody's talking about David Benavidez. Why? Because he's in the co-main event tonight, and the fact that he is Canelo's preeminent challenger. The reason why I say that is he was ranked number 1 for not 1 year, not for 2 years, but for 3 years. The WBC, what does this mean? What does ranked number 1 by the WBC mean? When I was ranked in the Western United States, when they ranked me, when I moved up in the rankings, I mean, that was important to me. And if I got to a point where they had to put me into a tournament because I got into a certain ranking, they had to do it, okay? That was amateur boxing. This is professional boxing. You've been the number 1 contender for 3 years, and they're looking the other way, and he doesn't bring anything to the dance. Is that what Canelo says? Well, guess what? Canelo from here on, unless he straightens up his act, he will be known as Canelo on Ring Talk Live Worldwide. You're tuned to the longest running fight show in history, Ring Talk Live Worldwide. Coming up after the break, Boxing's PhD, Socrates Palmer on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network.
Hey guys, this is Brian the Wine Punch Valoria. Stay tuned to WBC TV and Fit.
El que deja de aprender, terminó su vida. El que sigue aprendiendo, sigue viviendo.
¡José Sulaimán! What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels.
Él me llevó por primera vez a una clínica de rehabilitación, como lo acabo de decir. Eso también se lo voy a hacer.
it shows. I took the blows and did it my way.
Did you have an idol in the past, or do you have an idol now?
My idol in the past was Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley es el ídolo que él ha tenido en el pasado.
Now my idol is Mr. Jose Sulu.
Ahora su ídolo es el señor José Sulaimán. Is your first time here in Mexico?
I came through once, but I can't remember exactly what I did, but I was here once.
Don't ever forget how great it is to be American. America we need right now. America. Celebrate with us.
Now, more of Ring Talk with Pedro Fernandez.
You know, being the astute guy that I am, I'm going to start off with that BS that was on that commercial there. I can't believe that the network would even allow that to come on the air. But then again, that's their choice, not mine. You are tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. You're inside looking at the world of boxing and MMA. We're getting boxing's PhD, Mr. Socrates Palmer, come to us from the Bronx. Of course, big fight weekend last week with Zainer Zayas, of course, being victorious over Patrick Cesaro. And I want to say this about Patrick, first of all, Socrates. His mother died 10 days ago. He had to pay the bills. I mean, he had to pay the bills. I mean, imagine the trauma emotionally to have to go through that. I mean, you're going to fight 10 days later.
That is pretty crazy. Credit to the sheriff to be able to compartmentalize, like you said.
No, you got to pay the bills. Rest in peace to his mom. He sure gave himself he gave a good honest effort. And that's what you always ask from a pro fighter. I mean, he lost convincingly, but the guy was trying. I thought he actually tested Zayas in a way that I don't think they expected. I think they expected someone to come in, lay down. There's the big lights of Madison Square Garden, and
expected 4 or 5 rounds.
Yes, I did. Especially after seeing
the weigh-in, how he looked so drained. But the guy, he's a true professional. Gave it credit.
And he took a lot of the wind out of that crowd. That crowd for the main event was buzzing. And after the 5th, 6th round, the people were sitting on their hands. They expected more from Zayas, and Teixeira was very awkward, had his moments, and he gave a good shot.
Tell you, I'm going to give you my little personal opinion here. If I was Xander, I would have carried him. I would have let him go 10 rounds. I mean, I still would have won the fight convincingly, like he did. But I think I would have carried him because I don't think I would have humiliated or tried to overpower somebody or dog somebody that lost their mother 10 days before. I couldn't do it.
One thing about Zay is he looks the part, right? He says all the right things. He was super classy, gracious winner. Which is something that's like odd these days, right? He is straight out of Central Casting. I still question if fighting at 154 is his best, because he's not really a big puncher, and there's a lot of big punchers at 54. It's a tough weight class.
Xander, all class, like you said, he was convinced.
And I think that he gained a lot of experience going 10 rounds with the world champ.
My hat's off to Zara, because you and I know stress involved in boxing. I mean, come on, man. Your mother people say, "Oh, Pete, you're harping on this too much." I'm not. I mean, this has got to be emotionally crazy. Some dude's going to try to take your head off. He's undefeated. He's like a 4 or 5 to 1 favorite. Everybody knows he's going to win. The bottom line is you're going in and fighting the house guy. I mean, everything's against you. And your mother just died.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that feeling. I mean, there's he's a true warrior. And
right about that. Now, anybody look good on the undercard in your mind? In your mind there?
I think we got to see a glimpse of the future in the next 2 or 3 years. You see the title picture. Bruce Barrington. This kid fights like an angry fighter. You know, he fights the way that his fans please him. You know, he's all offense. He's got that Brooklyn chip on his shoulder. I think sky's the limit, man. Really impressed. Another stoppage win. The plan is to bring him back in September, back at MSG. I think there was another fighter, Oscar Falcone Jr., who had a really good showing in the 6th round, early prelims. There was heavyweight Ali Felice, who was Olympian, or he made the Olympic team but decided to go pro. He's a heavyweight out of Connecticut, uh, Dominican parents, and I think he's going to have a really bright future. He's managed.
So go from New York to Florida, from Bob Aaron's promotion, he's 90-something years old, to Don King's promotion, he's 90-something years old. Listen, the Don King show looked like a bad version of Public Access from New York City. I mean, it looked like Max Kellerman in the 90s.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. The production, the graphics, the TV team, I think they were all wearing identical T-shirts or something like that. They looked like caddies. I just couldn't figure the whole thing out. And, you know, the director of boxing for Don King's Productions is Christy Martin. And Christy Martin's a coal miner's daughter. She did stellar things for the world of boxing, no doubt about that. But Don King has put her in charge. She's the one that comes up with these decisions. Let's put some money in Adrian Broner. That was obviously a mistake. I mean, Broner, he didn't even weigh in for last week's week. You realize that? He never weighed in. You realize that, right?
No, he didn't weigh in.
Look anywhere. See where you can find some weight. I looked and looked and looked. I called somebody down there in Florida. They said they would get back to me, and nobody ever got back to me. So I mean, as fat as he was, he looked like, remember that comedian when he played Ralph Cramden, the black comedian, when he played Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners?
Cedric.
Exactly. That's what Adrian Broner looked like, a fat black bus driver.
It's funny. The guy that walked him into the ring, Rick Ross, they looked like they were twinning. You know, if Adrian was to go completely bald, I mean, you could have told the difference. He had rolls upon rolls, and on top of that, he got his front tooth knocked out.
That was terrible.
You know, I've seen guys looking for contact lenses in corners. I saw Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes in his corner looking down in the Ray Mercer fight for a contact lens. Okay, I've seen all kinds, but that's a good one. I mean, that's a rarity.
Yeah, job. I mean, I don't think people think much of him, but he did what he's supposed to do. When you fight a guy that's, you know, obviously there just for the paycheck, you know, out of shape, you know, he beat the brakes off Adrian Broner.
Here's what's up. It's not like beating the brakes off an old lady. I mean, big deal. I mean, I can't give him any credit for if he didn't beat Broner that night, he should be arrested for impersonating a professional fighter, as did Broner. Afterwards, the cops there in Florida arrested him and took him off. He's in jail now, $2,500 bail. And he can't post his bail. That's how cheap, that's how broke he is.
And guess what?
He still says that he's going to fight again. So, hey, you know, credit to whoever wants to pay to watch him fight.
The best move Adrian Broner ever pulled when he was laying on that bed with like $300,000 in cash laying on the bed, right? And then he went to court 2 days later and told the judge, "I'm broke. I ain't got a dime. I don't have a dime." So then somebody came up with the picture. He showed the judge the picture, and the judge is going, "I think I can count about $200,000 here, just looking at things here. So there's probably more than that. Whose money is this?" He goes, "I borrowed it." I mean, that's how he tried to get out. But the bottom line is, Adrian Broner has had some substance issues, but I think more than substance issues, I think he's just mentally off.
Yeah, the press conference was ridiculous. He's talking about beating cases, and he's talking about basically threatening their cop, like stop talking. Also, have someone in the crowd that pop a cap on you, like this stupid stuff. And maybe it's
Mm-hmm. He should be ashamed of that card, man. This is a guy that part of Holmes and Cooney, Holmes and Norton. I mean, some Ali fights. I can go on. Of course, the Rumble in the Jungle, 1974 was his inaugural event. Of course, when he ripped off the government president Mobutu to the tune of $6 million. Of course, he convinced Mobutu that the jungle was going to be the next Las Vegas. Yeah, he said, you put a couple slot machines out here, everybody will come. That's what Don King told him. And Mobutu bid it up, spent $6 million, and the country went bankrupt.
Wow. Look, Don King's demise is no different than poetic justice and a lot of the fighters that he dragged on after their prime, right?
Say that again.
It's almost like poetic justice, right? The way he dug up fighters, way past their prime, to get beat up. Now he's getting beat up. He's
paid me, so I can't knock him. He knew better than to screw me on a pay job. Okay, when I worked for him, he was all. I mean, he paid me. I mean, somebody came by and sent me a check when I was working TV ringside. You got a check when you were sitting ringside or at the post-fight press. Anyway, he always paid. Okay, but when he did the Ali, with the $8 million for the Holmes fight, October 2nd, 1980, the Ali was given $4 million and he was owed $4 million because he was to get a cut of the closed circuit TV money. Okay, and Don King says, "Listen, I owe you $4 million." He goes, "But I didn't make any money for this fight." He goes, "So can you waive the $4 million and I'll get you another title fight? How about I get you another title fight, Muhammad?" And Ali, all brain scramble, goes, "Yeah, okay, get me another title fight." Okay, so he goes and fights Trevor Berbick over there in Bahamas. Of course, Don King got beat up by the Muslims last night, and then Muhammad Ali lost his last fight against Trevor Berbick.
Very sad, Andy. But
he's a pimp.
Hey, came into the game,
a convicted murderer.
A convicted manslaughter guy, right?
No, it was murder. It was murder. And then they rolled it back, and then they pardoned him all together. Listen, if you have $250,000, I can get you a pardon from the governor in Ohio.
Really?
That's how. That's exactly what went down. You think they were going to pardon some black guy just because they pardoned him? Golly, John, we think that was bad that you kicked Sam Garrett in the head when he was already down and killed him. So we're going to give you a pardon on that one. I don't think so. That was a violent outcome. Sam Garrett's some like 98-pound junkie laying on the floor. Don's kicking his ass over a $600 debt. Okay, Don's kicking him and kicking him and kicking him when he's down. So the cops get out the car. The Cleveland cops get out the car and they're rolling on Don King. They're running towards Don King. Leave him alone. Stop. And Don kicked the dude one more time and killed him. Okay,
Wow.
so he belonged in jail. Of course, there was the other guy that he shot to death. The guy robbed his numbers rack, his little bookie office, this and that. So the guy put a gun up in his future wife's face, Henrietta, who was married to his business partner at that point in time, put a gun in her face. The guy had the stupidity to turn around on Don King. He turned around on Don King, got shot in the back twice. Guess what? He didn't make it out of the office.
Never turn your back on a man if you have a gun, right? You got the.
You are tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. Back with Boxing's PhD after the break.
That type of pain can stay with you forever when you lose a fight. The pain of you receiving punches and getting hit every single time, it comes and goes. It's really, you don't feel it in the ring at the time. But it's interesting because that loss can be very painful for a lot of years after one retires.
My first fight was over pitching, and that led me to here. Life is only a competition to improve life. I don't know. I was made to be that way, and I don't know, it gets scary sometimes. I'm so small, I'm hardly noticed, but I make a lot of noise.
I'm Frank Ripley, inventor of Frackwell, the boxer's water bottle. You're watching WBC Live Channel, powered by Vive.
The creep that was Puff Daddy, he's now P. Diddy or whatever. He's about to be a felon. Bottom line is he's going to jail. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. Only the sooner the better. With the stuff that he's done, especially kicking that girl Cassie like he did on the videotape that was released a couple of weeks ago. The bottom line is that guy shouldn't be on the street no matter how much money he has. You are tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. And now I told you, the one time I ran into him was at that Princess Med fight, and I walked by and he was smoking weed inside the stadium outside Princess Med's. It was an indoor stadium outside of his dressing room. And I said to myself, who's this blood smoking weed? That's all I said to myself. And he goes, blood, you don't know who I am? And I said, no, I just kept on walking. I had no idea who he was. Bottom line is it was Puff Daddy. I found out later why Ron Wood was kissing his ass with the Rolling Stones because, quote, had the best weed. So Puff Daddy brought the best weed to England. Outside of that, he should be in prison. You are tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. You're inside look at the world of boxing and MMA. We're hours away. Of course, it was a pretty good fight card coming to us from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Devontae Tank Davis, of course, taking on Frank Martin. Both are undefeated. And Martin 18-0 with 12 KOs. Underdogs, both guys weighing about a pound under the 135-pound limit. David Benavidez and Oleg Gavodnik, of course, both weighing 174.2 pounds, the 175-pound limit. Of course, Mr. Benavidez has been the number one contender at 168 pounds, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for 3 years. And he's been the interim champion. He was a former champion, lost his title on the scale. I going and going, but the bottom line is, you smell something here, don't you? I do. Benavidez and Oleg Gavodnik for the WBC interim light heavyweight title. Another interim title. Bottom line is they're going almost all interim tonight. Gary Antoine Russell, 138.2 pounds, taking on Alberto Pollo, 139.8 pounds. These guys are going for the WBC interim super lightweight title. And for the first time in a long time, somebody will be defending the WBC middleweight title. I'm talking about Carlos Adames defending against Terrell Gasha. They both weighed in under the 160-pound limit. The reason why I mention that is, which one of the brothers had the WBC middleweight title before? Charlo. Which one of the Charlo brothers had it? Anyway, did he ever defend that title?
No. And Adames became the
at least 2 years.
How
At
many?
least 2 years. At least 2 years. I mean, I think the last time he fought was the guy in Montreal.
Explain this to everybody out there, okay? And some of you are intelligent, others maybe not so intelligent, but you'll understand this. You're standing in line at McDonald's, you know, where you get your burgers, all that kind of good stuff. You're standing in the front of the line, and you go up to the front of the line, and Canelo's working the desk. He's the guy taking your order, right? Well, he won't take your order. He takes the orders of the guy behind him, and the guy behind him, and the guy behind him, and the guy behind him. So after a few minutes, you're going to get upset, right? I mean, without a doubt, Sock, if you're in that position, you're going to say something, right?
Right.
All right. So this guy's been in that position for 3 years, and Canelo's at the front of the line. You're saying, no coffee for you.
That's a really good way to put it, man. Look, you know that when you're the guy that when you're the cash cow, you know how to manipulate the game, and Canelo is doing it to a T. He's not the first fighter to do it, and he won't be the last. It's unfair.
Extreme. What did this extremes for a guy? I can't remember. I mean, I posted the other day. It's been 2 years and 9 months since he made a WBA mandatory defense, 3 years for a WBC defense, and 2 point something years for an IBF defense. Bottom line is he hasn't defended any of those titles as far as mandatory is concerned in over 3 years. This is a crime. Let me tell you, when I was ranked, you got ranked in order so they would put you in tournaments. That's how you got. That's how you made them in the national scene. You got ranked. I was ranked in the Western United States. I watched those rankings. I mean, those rankings were like every month they came out. Man, I was looking at them. Okay, it meant a lot to you. It meant a lot to you. So when you got to the point where it was number one, you were going to go fight for the Diamond Belt title, which I didn't end up doing. The bottom line is I was ranked number one in the Western United States. I was elated because this guaranteed me my shot as the Diamond Belt champion. Okay, who turned out to be Zach Padilla, and I had second thoughts on that one. So Zach was the best fighter in the entire world at that point in time at 140 pounds. Now even I knew better than to go in there and take on George Foreman. You ever see Zach?
No, I got
junior welterweight champion. He lost one fight to a guy from Oklahoma. He was sick that night. The bottom line is he was a monster, and I knew better. Listen, we sat there and we were looking at the tapes of this guy. We're in Newman's gym here in San Francisco. We're like in the Tenderloin, where the old seedy part of town where the boxing gym used to be. And we're looking at the VHS tapes of this guy, right? So we're all sitting there after I've already sparred and worked out. We're going to fight this guy like in 3 weeks. So we're looking at videotapes. So we're looking for weaknesses. There was no weaknesses, Sock. He threw 160 punches around.
Damn.
Exactly. 155 to be exact. That was good enough for me. That's close to 160. 150. And there's only 180 seconds in the round.
That is true, right?
Okay. Yeah, 3 minute round. So I knew better than to face him on my first open fight. But anyway, let's go back to this card. Is Gary Antoine Russell and Alberto Puyo. Puyo's a pretty good fighter. Who's going to win here?
I think Puello has a good record. Is he a good fighter? We're going to find out. I mean, I think Gary Antoine Russell is very good. I think he's talented. He's a considerable favorite. Obviously, he comes from the boxing family of the Russells out of D.C. I can't see him losing to Puello. I think Puello will be aggressive because I think he knows he has to be. You know, although they both fight under the PBC banner, but Gary Antoine is the guy. He's not a big puncher, and I think that's going to be his demise. I see Gary Antoine Russell stopping him in the 6th, 7th round.
Oleg Gavodnik, of course, both 20-1 is one guy. Of course, the other guy is like 27-0, I have 28-0, 24 kills. Bottom line, he's unbeaten, number one guy. How long is Gavodnik going to last here?
I think that he's going to last probably.
He may go the distance. You just think of beating. You know, I think. You think he can stop? Man, he's 37.
This is a statement-making fight.
It is.
You got me a station. I mean, man, I'm going for it.
Yeah, you're right. That firepower that Benavidez brings is
special. But my concern is if Benavidez going to look past this guy, is he going to beat up? You know what I mean?
He should be right. That's how he should be. You know, I mean, the last time he was in the ring with a real fighter was Benavidez, and he kind of got the fight.
What didn't he howl a little bit at the end of the fight? Howling?
Yeah, and he's got 3 wins against 3 guys that really had no business being in the prize fighting ring. And I guess that's why But it's funny because Benavidez has that same type of DNA like Benavidez. He'll take the will out of you. So, you know, one time you quit, second time it's easier. So.
Okay. Gervonta Davis and Mr. Frank Martin. Frank Martin going to win this fight?
No, I don't see it happening. I think to beat Tank Davis, you have to be special, and I think that Frank Martin
is good. Not a great fighter. I mean, there's nothing that he does that's really great. The one thing I do believe that he can out-hustle Gervonta in certain rounds because Tank is not a big volume guy. He looks to set up big shots. So I can see him maybe having early success. Eventually, I think Tank stops him late in the fight.
Well, you know, evidently Martin flinched at the weigh-in when Tank did some crazy stuff. I would have flinched too. I mean, this idea of like, you know, you come on, you're surprised. You're supposed to flinch.
I guess,
you know, like, you guess.
Reflex, yes, if you want to say.
It's the fact that Frank knows he's in deep spit, and it's getting deeper as we go on. Bottom line is, you have a great week. Hug the wife. Listen, you've got the only cavity-free family in the entire Bronx.
That is true. Thanks, Uncle Pedro.
All the best to you, my brother. I love you. Say hello to the family.
Love you back.
Peace.
The great Socrates Palmer, boxing's PhD on Ring Talk, live worldwide.
I know a place where people rain through, a sort of place they really care about you. It's not rough.
Hey guys, this is Brian the Wine Punch Veloria. Stay tuned to WBC TV and FIT.
Mucha fuerza al término de cada episodio y en esta evidentemente siendo el hombre de casa.
I'm Frank Ripley, inventor of Frackwell, the boxer's water bottle. You're watching WBC Live Channel, powered by Vive.
As a girl, I was told no to almost everything. So I never asked permission to learn boxing. When I won my first title, people got to know that I was a boxer. Including my family, they were shocked. Since then, my life changed. There has been no stop. I kept training, set records, won title, and I won the first ever women title fight in the Middle East. I keep training to fight better. I still have a long way. Winning bigger titles, bigger dreams. My name is Urvashi Singh. I am a professional boxer from India, living in Dubai, and this is my life.
Once we follow, believe, hear, understand the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and come into knowledge of ourselves, then we want to be called after names of our people, which are names that fit us black people. And Clay was a white man's name. It was a slave name. And I'm no longer Clay. I'm no longer a slave. So now Muhammad Ali.
Do you answer to Clay anymore?
Well, some people, they still say Clay.
Sports writers still call you Clay.
No, I stopped them because they know better. But some people who don't know better, they say, how you doing, Mr. Clay? I may not say nothing because the intention was nice. It didn't mean no harm. Then some walk up. How you doing, boy? How you feeling, Cassius? Meet Mr. Clay. Fine boy. Then I have to straighten him out because he's agitating and acting smart and bossy. But it's according to how they approach me.
The great Muhammad Ali, no doubt about that, the greatest athlete, one of the greatest people to ever walk the planet, without a doubt. Should Gervonta Davis get by Frank Martin tonight. Of course, he's got a possible match with Vasil Lomachenko. Lomachenko haven't captured the IBF title. Of course, a former undisputed champion, former two-time amateur world champion. Of course, I think he lost one fight as an amateur, 361, something like that. 360 and 1. I think that was his record as an amateur. Of course, 16 and 3, I believe, or 17 and 3 as a pro. Of course, having beaten the man George Kambosos from Australia, beating him like a girl. I mean, that was like a rout, no doubt about that. But he's in a position where he wants to fight Gervonta Davis. Davis and him evidently have already been talking. So it's Davis a successful night against Frank Martin. He's like a 7-1 favorite. It'll be Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis in the next fight. They should have had that fight a couple years ago, but they didn't. Bottom line is, it will happen eventually. Now, Benavidez, as I said earlier, when I quoted him when I was talking with Socrates Palmer. I'm not looking past Gavodnik, but I'm looking through him. And I think that's the way you've got to do it. I mean, there's no doubt about it that David Benavidez is a. Listen, I went into McDonald's this morning. That's where I get my coffee. Get my coffee at McDonald's. I went in the car, and so I saw John Padilla. John Padilla, you know what he said about David Benavidez? Oh, he's a good up and comer. What are these Mexican guys talking about? I mean, that's how Mexican fans look at David Benavidez. He's an up and comer with 28-0 with 24 knockouts, and the fact that he was a WBC champion before Canelo was, and Canelo never defended against him in 3 years, and he's been an interim champion, the former champion. And I mean, come on, man. I mean, what does he have to do? He has to move up to 175 because you won't fight him at 168. Now, the bottom line is Canelo Alvarez was going to be prompted by the WBC to fight David Benavidez. They talked about that in January this year. We read a statement from Mauricio Suleiman that said that he was going to be mandated to fight David Benavidez. Then Canelo bitched and moaned about that, and then they never heard that again. Never heard nothing about it. I mean, nothing. The bottom line is something stinks, and that needs to be taken care of. David Benavidez needs his shot in the sun. I said it to you before. You're standing in line at McDonald's. You buffoons out there, you Canelo fans. Or better yet, you're standing in line at Taco Bell or the taco truck. I'll put it to you like that. And you're standing at the front of the line, and you want tacos. And the guy's not waiting on you. He's waiting on the lady behind you, and the lady behind her, and the lady behind her. And after a little while, you're going to start screaming, right? Because they're not waiting on you, but you're number one in line. It's the same thing in boxing. He's been there 3 years. 3 years. Do I need to harp on that anymore? I probably shouldn't have to, but week in and week out, nobody seems to be getting it. Up and comer? That's what John Padilla is, a boxing veteran. That's what he said to me. Up and comer because he's a Mexican boxing fan. They look at Benavidez through a different light. They just do. They look at him through a different light because he's such a threat. They say, oh, what does he bring to the dance? He brings to the dance the fact he's going to kick Canelo's ass. That's what he brings to the dance. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Speaking of the MGM Grand, this is their 100th fight card. They have him into a lot of fight cards at the MGM Grand. I want to say it's a fantastic arena. I want to thank the people that put on some great boxing there. Of course, there was George Foreman knocking out Michael Moore back in 1994 to win the heavyweight title nearly 20 years after the day he lost it to Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in Jungle. And speaking of the Rumble in Jungle, I told you about that, right? What it cost President Mobutu to throw that down there in Zaire, Africa, and bankrupt the country. Don King bankrupted that country, and he bankrupted the Philippines almost to an extent when he threw the Thrill in Manila, the third Ali Frazier fight. Of course, I think he got President Marcos paid like $8 million for that, and Marcos didn't really have that kind of money, or he did. Bottom line is, he took it out of the treasury. $8 million from the Filipino people paid for that fight to come to the Philippine odds. Of course, Muhammad Ali winning in the 15th round when Eddie Futch stopped the fight in Joe Frazier's corner. He says, he goes, son, you've got nothing to be ashamed of. And he stopped that fight. Eddie Futch is one of the greatest men I've ever met in my entire life. In fact, that whole crew, Eddie Futch, Angelo Dundee, I mean, Gil Clancy to an extent. Gil was a little rough with me, but the bottom line is those old timers were good guys, no doubt about that. You are tuning to Ring Talk Live Worldwide, your inside look at the world of boxing and MMA. Of course, the 100th fight card tonight at the MGM Grand. We wish him the very best of luck, and I think the way it's going to go down is that Davis will win. Gervonta Davis will probably win inside the distance because he's a good finisher. If he hurts you, it's usually over. I mean, he gets in there, and he has a style, being a southpaw, but he has a style where he can do things that's unconventional. He does stuff that's, I mean, not as unconventional like Hector Camacho or something like that, but he does stuff that's unconventional, stuff that only Tank can do. That's what makes him special. You heard Socrates Palmer, the boxer's PhD, in the prior segment talking about him being special. He is special. We don't mean like he needs a yellow bus. We think he's special in the world of boxing. Of course, when he dropped Ryan Garcia in that, the first or the second round of that fight they had together, of course, Ryan Garcia was considered a hot shot going in, but guess what? Davis took care of that, and of course, then when Ryan took that dive and was whatever round that was, where Ryan like got that little body shot or whatever it was. And there was something going on there. Either he went into the ring hurt, or he got hurt from a body shot, or he took a dive. There's like 3 or 4 options. None of them were good. Of course, Ryan Garcia is still in the news because of the fact that Bill Haney's still in the news. Why can't we ban Bill Haney from the internet? That's right, Bill Haney, a San Francisco resident originally. Now he's living in Las Vegas. Of course, he's manager of the father of Devin Haney. We need to ban him from the internet. I mean, because you see him popping up all over the place under different aliases and different disguises, and you know it's him. He doesn't know it's him. Listen, the guy needs a reality check. He needs a reality check and a tonsorial consultation. I'm not a big fan of his hair, but the bottom line is he needs a tonsorial consultation, and he needs to put his head on straight, man. He keeps looking at his son through these glasses where he can only see he's narrow-minded. He's just narrow-minded. The bottom line is, Devin Haney in that 7th round with Ryan Garcia, he was on the floor 4 times because of punches. 4 times because of punches. The referee is named Harvey Dock, the guy that was supposed to be the best black referee on the East Coast. Yeah, right. Bottom line is, I mean, what was he trying to do there for? What was he trying to do? Come on, that stuff. That was bad. That was bad. That just, it really, I mean, come on. The guy gets knocked down 4 times. You only call 1 knockdown. And, Ryan, I understand, was acting a fool, and he probably shouldn't have turned his back and this and that. There's some things that were off the wall. But the bottom line is that fight, there was no doubt about it, that Devin Haney was exposed. And once you expose somebody, you can't expose them. Even if we go back and take away Ryan, we say, we're disqualifying Ryan Garcia. If Daniel Ogden in the other room, the king, said, guess what? We're disqualifying that fight. We're wiping it off the board. It never happened. It doesn't matter. You can't take away the fact that, Devin Haney was down more times than he was up almost. I mean, come on, man. Every time he got hit, he got rattled. From the first round, he got hurt. He got rattled, I think, in the first round, and he never really ever recovered. He has a chin, one of those chins where it just doesn't take punches well. He's not a good guy on the inside, taking shots on the inside. That's why he doesn't fight that way. That's why he fought at a distance. And people say to me, "Oh, well, he got macho against Ryan Garcia." See, he thought that Ryan was a nutcase. He thought that Ryan didn't train. He thought that Ryan was nuts. He thought that Ryan was on cocaine. Everything. And of course, he went in there and said, "You know what? I'm going to knock Ryan out. I'm going to try to knock Ryan out." Well, you weren't that much of a puncher, obviously. 32 fights, only 15 knockouts. The fact that, again, you don't take a very good punch. Jorge Linares had you walking on Queer Street back to that corner. When you went back to your father, I think it was after the 9th round with Linares, you were on Queer Street. Lucky you didn't get knocked out that night. Linares should have jumped on you when you came out, but Linares, Linares, although he was at the Garden this week, and he was interviewed, I think, by Tommy D. He missed his opportunity there. You listen, when you're the opponent in boxing, especially, everybody's against you. The promoter's against you. The sanctioning body's against you. Don't believe it. Yeah, when you're going in there against a real hot guy, the sanctioning body, the promoter, the crowd. I mean, and maybe the judges too. I mean, the bottom line is you've got to go in there upset the apple cart. You're there to lose. I hate to put it to you like that, but you're there to lose. People don't understand that, but that's just the way it is. People are brought in there to lose. Mr. Patrick Teixeira last week with Xander Zayas, he was brought in there to lose. There was no way he was going to win that fight. Absolutely no way. But then again, his mother died 10 days prior, and he went the distance, so more power to him, no doubt about that. You were tuning to Ring Talk Live World. All right, you're inside looking at the world of boxing. Let me get a swig of water here. I read last week that Floyd Mayweather is suffering from post-traumatic boxing issues. In other words, he's having some issues like his brother had, his father had, and his uncle. I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather Sr. and Roger Mayweather. Roger died about a year and a half ago from boxing-related injuries, brain-related injuries. Okay, but the bottom line is I saw something where Floyd was sort of copping to that, and then somebody pulled it. But then again, Floyd's talking about fighting again and this and that. Listen, the guy's got enough money, I think, where he doesn't need to fight again. Okay, he really doesn't. So he shouldn't be fighting again. Manny Pacquiao, they're talking about putting Manny Pacquiao in the ring. He's 45 years old. I mean, haven't these guys learned anything about CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy? Haven't they learned anything? I mean, when you see guys that are messed up, when the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, was unable to talk, they try to say it was Parkinson's disease. It may have been Parkinson's syndrome, but it was brought on by boxing. I mean, come on, the residual effects of professional boxing will put Muhammad Ali in the state that he was the last few years of his life. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So what I'm trying to tell you is, at the end of the day, speaking of a guy that seems to have some CTE problems, how about Deontay Wilder? Holy cow, is he in another world or what? I mean, he's just former heavyweight champion, of course, 2008 Olympic bronze medalist out of Mobile, Alabama. But, of course, he lost dramatically to Zhang a fortnight ago. And that was a fight I thought he might have won, but the odds makers were all with Zhang. Zhang was like a 3-1 favorite. It was a 3-1 favorite over Deontay Wilder with that right-handed Deontay Wilder. Well, guess what? Deontay couldn't reach an orgasm that day with the right hand. He never knocked the Chinese guy down. He never really wobbled him. He stunned him maybe once or twice, but he never had him in a position where Zhang was going to be in trouble on the way out. It just wasn't happening. Zhang was in control from the start there. Now, Zhang's got a new a new training team with him, and I think he's taking a different approach. But still, that weight, I wonder why he wants to carry that much weight into the ring. Of course, 282 pounds this last time. I think he was 288 or something like that, 290 the time before that. But the bottom line is, Zhou Zhang seems to be the heavyweight on the rise in the heavyweight division right now. Of course, the United States basically has nobody. We don't have anybody. And as far as Europe's concerned, of course, the era of the Klitschko's, that's over with. Now, some people say to me, the era of the Klitschko's is the reason why boxing is not number one in the United States anymore. I said, what do you mean? Well, the fact that when Klitschko became world heavyweight champion, either Vitaly or his brother Vladimir, and the reason why Vladimir won the 1996 Olympic gold medal, right? Is that Vitaly popped dirty for steroids. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah. Anyway, he won the Olympic gold medal in 1996 for Vladimir Klitschko, and then he was knocked around, got beat up as a pro. Sort of people said he couldn't take a punch. He got knocked down. And then Emmanuel Stewart came along, and he never lost again. Because Emmanuel taught him how to fight safe. Speaking of Emmanuel Stewart, may he rest in peace, man. I was really feeling Emmanuel the other day. I want to go back to Detroit. There's a couple things I want to go to Detroit for, but I know nobody in Detroit anymore. Everybody has died. All the entertainers I knew, no, either that or they moved out of town. They just have. It's sad. So I want to go back to Motown. There was a concert. The Isley Brothers, or one of the Isley Brothers, the remaining Ron Isley was going to throw a show in Detroit, and I wanted to go. But then again, I go back to Detroit, there's nobody there for me. Straight up, you are tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. You're inside looking at the world of boxing and MMA. Let's roll an early break, Daniel. You're tuned to the Sports Byline Broadcast Network.
Hello, this is Gabriel Ruelas. Stay tuned for WBC TV and BIV Network.
Mucha fuerza al término de cada episodio y en esta evidentemente siendo el hombre de casa.
Get chores, float up to the stars. Planets is a spot about 6 blocks east of Mars. Air soul kicks and crushed velvet hats. Hanging off the Ave with the beautifulest snaps. Riding the crest with the blessed give a yes. Planets kinda funky as if you hadn't guessed. Placebos getting blocked, funky joints get rocked. Java's not found, we flop from the flesh. Weather Jeep a lack, peek it as you bend it and float to them raps. Butterflies, planets with a jam 8 tracks. From the naughty tops with the twist and plaits. Look beneath my hat, find the brains that hit ya, Metro quite equipped. Knows of all the funk that was laid in 7 zips. Funk is fat, homie, don't you know me? Cool is back, give some skin, lay it on me. Groovy you could call it, hip yeah you could call we. Vicky sticky finger stuck up.
Now, let's take it to the Bronx and bring on my guest. He has a Friday night show. Of course, it's a very popular show, Tommy D, and it's on YouPorn. What's up, Tommy?
You said? Did you just say YouPorn?
Isn't that the network your show's on?
No, it's YouTube.
Wait. No. I thought you and Sock had this show on. Are you sure?
I'm totally positive. I know
Okay.
something's working out.
What?
It's looking good with the Flintstone vitamins, but it's definitely not YouPorn.
Okay, it's not Pornhub either.
No, it's not. It's not Pornhub. Absolutely not.
You're a married guy. How do you know what these websites are?
A birdie told me. It's little birdie.
That's my Sunday guy, the shot caller, Thomas Dillamuth. Sir Thomas Dillamuth, the King. Tommy D's got a whole bunch of names. Bottom line is, let's talk about the odds for tonight's fights at the MGM Grand. Of course, the MGM Grand back it was a 95, 96 when Mike Tyson bit that chunk of Evander Holyfield's ear off, and then somebody from the maintenance crew found it, and they were taking the piece of the ear to the hospital. They lost it on the way. How can you lose a piece of ear? How the hell can you lose a piece of ear? How do you lose a piece of ear? But somebody did. Of course, that was one of the great moments, or the infamous moments of the MGM Grand. Them celebrating their 100th card tonight, their 100th boxing card. Of course, that's a lot of cards, no doubt about that. Now, Gary Russell and Polo. Gary Russell 7-1 favorite. Carlos Damas 7-1 over Terrell Gotcha for the WBC middleweight title. David Benavidez 650, a 6.5 to win favorite over Oleg Gvodnik. Gvodnik is a plus 450. Those odds went down. He was a little bit more last week and the week before. Leon Parr on Sabril Matias going to battle for the IBF 140-pound title, and Matias is a minus 750 favorite. In fact, Matias is being mentioned as a future opponent. In fact, I think Barry Hearn, promoter Eddie Hearn, brought this up earlier this week about for Devin Haney, the aforementioned Devin Haney. Good luck, Matias can crack a little bit. Frank Martin plus 500. Gervonta Davis minus 750. In other words, it doesn't look like there's any upsets here in this card whatsoever. I mean, it's all going to go according to chalk, a chalk card. But the bottom line is, it looks like there's some pretty good fights here. And of course, the main event features Gervonta Davis, Tank Davis, must watch TV, no doubt about that. And the co-main event, this guy I think is one of the best fighters pound for pound in the entire world. A guy that doesn't get his props because in the same division as Canelo Alvarez. Talk about David Benavidez. Now, I'm not a latecomer to Benavidez. I'm not one of these newcomers. No. I was talking about him a long time ago. The bottom line is, you can see it. The guy was a solid amateur. He became a solid pro. He's knocking people out. He's fought as heavy as 200 pounds and brought it down to 168 pounds. See, that's Canelo's big moan. Oh, he weighs 168. He weighed too much when we fight. Well, listen, when you were the weight bully and you were getting weight advantage over guys, it was okay back then. But the bottom line is, now the shoes are on another foot for Canelo Alvarez. Speaking of Canelo, he's no longer Canelo. We call him Canelo on this show. You are tuned to the longest running fight show in history, Ring Talk Live Worldwide. I want to thank the Jackmans down there in Dallas, Texas. I think I'm going to be in Dallas. I was going to come down for that Tyson endeavor with Jake Paul, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, not until at least November. But until then, peace, love, a ton of respect. And don't forget the Sunday edition of Ring Talk Live Worldwide on the same channel, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, this is Ring Talk, a production of the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. Daniel Ogden, of course, the people in Dallas, the Jackmans kicking ass on WBC TV.